11 Alive is WXIA TV, your round-the-clock news source.
Good morning. I'm Chuck Moore.
And I'm Joe Becker. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll get the day started with Guy's play ball forecast.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you, people are getting all excited. And Braves haven't exactly burned up the woods in the Grapefruit League, but, you know, this is spring training. I can't wait. I'm just a baseball freak. But now I've got to be a rain lover because we've got some showers moving in late today and tonight. And they're going to be some rather heavy ones, but we can't complain too much because once it's in here and out of here, then we got the rest of the week looking pretty good. Look for an increasingly cloudy day and warm, high about 70. Winds out of the southeast, 6 to 12, low in the morning, 51. I think late this afternoon, tonight, and most of tomorrow, you're going to have to use your umbrellas and drive carefully, and you'll hear all of our exhortations probably about driving home safely or driving to work tomorrow safely, one of the two.
All right.
Kind of wet.
Okay. Thanks,
All
Guy.
right.
In the news this morning, if you're sick of your government wasting your money, you're about to get even sicker.
This morning we have a story that will leave many of you in Gwinnett County feeling ripped off. It's the story of broken roads and broken promises. Millions and millions of dollars of your money has been spent on projects like the Ronald Reagan Parkway. 6 years ago, the county supposedly embarked on one of the largest highway projects in state history, and the people agreed to pay for it. They have not received their money's worth.
If you pick up a copy of this morning's edition of the Daily News, you will read about a project out of control. Our Dean Phillips has a preview of that story.
In this case, the picture does tell the story. Heavy road equipment not in use, the promise to widen State Route 141 from Holcomb Bridge Road to the Fulton County line, as empty as these machines are busy. Just one road project the people of Gwinnett County voted for with their money back in 1986, saying, go ahead, spend tens of millions of our dollars to improve roads throughout this county. The promise, the work would all be done in 3 years. The reality, a broken promise of unfinished business and cost overruns. The voters said, go ahead and spend $90 million of our money. Among other things, improvements were promised by the end of 1989 on 32 major roads, 13 intersections, 12 bridges. It has not happened. The Route 141 project is not finished, and it's costing $7.2 million, 70% more than promised. An intersection improvement for Five Forks Trickham Road and Killian Hill Road, promised at $140,000, has cost $2.2 million. The promise of the Ronald Reagan Parkway, a much-needed thoroughfare through Gwinnett County, the promise cost $30 million. The reality, at least $44 million. And there is so much, much more. $1.5 million set aside to improve intersections throughout Gwinnett County. Actual cost, nearly $14 million. Cost overrun, 766%. So, people are having to spend tens of millions of dollars more than they knew they were getting into. And get this, more than a third of the work that was promised to be done more than 2 years ago is not done yet. Dean Phillips, 11 Alive News.
A grand jury has indicated there's a possibility fraud has taken place. Even with that, the Daily News will report the county has never asked for a full audit of the road program. It's rare when people vote to increase their taxes, and this kind of story may have them voting otherwise next time. One of Gwinnett's heaviest traffic areas nearly became a death zone last night. 3 people were hurt when 2 cars smashed together on Beaver Ruin Road at I-85. Traffic investigators say a Honda turned into the path of a Bronco and got hit broadside. Paramedics say a woman passenger in the Honda suffered the most serious injuries. 2 men in the Bronco were very fortunate, police say. They were not wearing their seatbelts.
Trafficking in heroin is a growing million-dollar business, and many of those deals go down every day on the streets of Atlanta. Saturday, we told you about a Nigerian man allegedly running a drug money laundering scheme. This morning, we've learned that man will also be charged with conspiracy to distribute heroin. That's heroin that was supposed to end up in North Georgia. He was arrested in San Francisco along with 2 other men on the money laundering charges. DEA agents tell us they've also intercepted 10 kilos of heroin during that investigation. Eventually, all 3 men will face a federal grand jury in Atlanta. Final arguments will begin today in Decatur, and the fate of 14-year-old Jamal Henry could be in the hands of the jury by day's end. Henry took the stand in his defense yesterday and told a jury he is innocent of the rape and murder of a 7-year-old girl. He said police threatened to put him in jail with adult criminals if he didn't confess to the crime. Police have denied that charge, and a judge ruled that there was no evidence that Henry was forced to confess. Jamal Henry is believed to be one of the youngest defendants ever prosecuted as an adult for murder. Another case of a child with a gun and someone got hurt. At this apartment complex last night, an 11-year-old was shot in the stomach. He's in stable condition at Grady Hospital. Another teenager apparently had the gun. Sources tell us the shooting was accidental. Because of the ages of the boys, police aren't releasing their names or giving out many details of the incident. Juvenile authorities will get the case this morning.
There is a controversy brewing in Georgia over what is gambling and what is good, clean fun. And hundreds of senior citizens who play bingo are caught in the middle. The GBI is telling some older people the game they love is illegal. And Jerry Carnes says those people want the law changed.
They're all retired and at that age where they thought they'd heard everything. Boy, were they in for a surprise, one that changed them from retirees to crusaders. Their mission now is to change a Georgia law, a law that defines one of their former pastimes as gambling.
I thought it was terrible.
I thought it was ridiculous.
I don't see that we're breaking the law. I teach Sunday school. I don't believe in gambling.
You see, in addition to Sunday card games, they used to play bingo. Every Tuesday morning, they met at this McDonald's in Austell with about 30 other senior citizens. They didn't pay to play and won gift certificates, not money. Doesn't sound like gambling, certainly not to the people who played. But Georgia gambling laws say only non-profit organizations can run bingo games. Places like the local American Legion. They usually charge you to play, then pay cash prizes. But they are licensed for bingo. Places like McDonald's are not. So the GBI has put a bingo ban on fast food restaurants all across Georgia.
The people make exceptions. And I don't see no reason why the law could make an exception in a case like this.
These folks are very confused. They say the legal bingo games are more like gambling than their version, so they're fighting. Meanwhile, it's cards at home, while they ponder the sanity of any law that would call them gamblers. Jerry Carnes, 11 Alive News.
Some of the people who have to enforce the law are on their side. Some GBI agents told Jerry that what they were doing was harmless, but still illegal. The problem is the legislature has gone home for the year, so it will be next year before lawmakers can even consider a change. Just ahead on 11 Alive News today, we'll know later this week if Paul Tsongas will throw his hat back into the presidential ring.
And 500,000 people take to the streets in the nation's capital in support of legalized abortion.
You're watching 11 Alive today with Chuck Moore, Jill Becker, and Guy Sharp with weather.
11 Alive would like to thank Macy's. We're a part of your kids' life with our 1992 sponsorship of For Kids' Sake.
Come see what a real Florida vacation is all about. The Daytona Beach Resort Area. 23 miles of oceanfront beach at your doorstep, plus golf, fishing, and water sports of all kinds. For your free vacation planning kit, call 1-800-854-1234. So take the real Florida vacation, the Daytona Beach Resort Area.
Florida's favorite beach, Daytona Beach. I love you.
You can store all this at Public Storage and pay just $1 for the first month's rent. You can store all this at Public Storage and still pay just $1 for the first month's rent. You can even store all this at Public Storage and pay just $1 for the first month's rent. Call Public Storage. You store it, you lock it, you keep the key.
Amazing Blue Star ointment stops itching fast. Jock itch, ringworm, psoriasis, athlete's foot, and removes corns and calluses. Blue Star ointment, the one that's guaranteed. Ask for it.
Find out what's happening around town when you call the Kids Sake hotline. That's 744-1111. Then press 61.
For 300 years, these men and these horses trained for war. Now, they do ballet. Kind of gives you hope for the world, doesn't it?
Sunday, April 12th, 2 p.m. at the Omni. Seats at Ticketmaster or charge by phone.
Well, it's 10 and a half minutes after 6 o'clock now, not 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Yeah, time change. Got to think about that. I'm still getting used to it. 48 degrees, 48% relative humidity. Barometric pressure going up, 30.20 inches. Northeasterly wind, barely noticeable, 3 miles an hour. And cloudy. Well, you can see where the clouds are stemming from, and all of the rain in the Mobile Bay area, New Orleans, and southern Louisiana and Mississippi. Yeah, it's heading our way. Those are major trouble spots. We'll tell you how long that rain will last once it gets here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Guy. Fire has claimed the lives of 2 small children in Florida. The mother suffered minor burns and collapsed at the scene. She and her boyfriend tried to save the children, but managed to save only one. The mother had 4 children. One had died while in foster care a number of years ago. She had just regained custody of the children and was trying to prove she was a fit mother. The surviving child is 5. Sam Walton died yesterday in Arkansas. He had been suffering with bone cancer. Walton, of course, founded Walmart and built it into the most successful discount retail chain in America. Walton was known for his simple life. His neighbors say fame and fortune hadn't changed him a bit. He was also known for his hands-on management style, visiting stores all over the country and giving his legendary pep talks.
Democratic presidential candidate and Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton is among those eulogizing the late business pioneer who was behind the nation's largest retail chain. Clinton said Walton was a charitable man and one of the greatest citizens Arkansas has ever had. On the political front, Clinton overwhelmed rival Jerry Brown in Puerto Rico's presidential primary 2 days before the crucial triple header in New York, Kansas, and Wisconsin. The Associated Press estimates that Clinton now has half the number of delegates he needs to sew up the Democratic nomination. It was a busy weekend for the candidates. Jerry Brown found himself on the defensive yesterday during a Democratic debate in New York. Brown admits that when he was governor of California, he appointed judges who were big political contributors. But Brown says none got the job based on the money they had given him.
Democrat Paul Tsongas, who put his campaign on hold, says he'll decide by Wednesday whether he'll jump back into the presidential race. The former Massachusetts senator told ABC's This Week with David Brinkley that Tuesday's New York primary may decide whether he rejoins the race. Tsongas says the decision will depend on how well he and Bill Clinton do in Tuesday's contest. Tsongas' name still appears on the New York ballot. Texas billionaire H. Ross Perot may get his name on the presidential ballot sooner than he thought he could. Perot's supporters across the country report they are quickly coming up with the signatures needed to put his name on the ballot. Perot got the ball rolling last month when he said he'd run for president as an independent if people could get his name on the ballot in all 50 states. On the Republican side, Patrick Buchanan is enjoying support from some of California's grassroots conservatives. The California Republican Assembly has given the conservative commentator a straw vote victory over President Bush, but the organization is refusing to formally endorse him. Doesn't seem to matter much to Buchanan. He says he plans to use the support he's gotten to push for victory in California's June primary.
In New York, police say 600 Leona Helmsley supporters attended a rally yesterday sponsored by the newly formed New Trial for Leona Committee. The chairman of the committee, Walter M. Holtzberg, says the Helmsleys have paid $600 million in taxes during the past 5 years. He calls Mrs. Helmsley's 4-year jail sentence a colossal injustice. Leona Helmsley will begin serving her sentence for tax evasion on April 15th.
Here that the Supreme Court and Congress can decide whether or not to allow women the right to choose whether to have a child or not. And it's important that we protect Roe versus Wade and that we protect our right to have freedom of choice.
Part-time Atlanta resident Jane Fonda was one of thousands of abortion rights demonstrators in Washington, D.C. It's the first abortion rights march on the Capitol in 3 years and comes 3 weeks before the court considers a Pennsylvania abortion case. Pro-choice advocates are concerned that the Supreme Court will use the Pennsylvania case to undermine Roe versus Wade, the 1973 decision that made abortion legal. It's estimated 500,000 people were on hand to support legalized abortion. Anti-abortion forces got into a shouting match with pro-choice demonstrators, but that was as serious as it got. Just ahead on 11 Alive News today, animated films are making a comeback. Another one hits theaters this week.
And you can cast your vote for the new King stamp today.
This is 11 Alive News today at 15 minutes after 6. Still 48 degrees under a cloudy sky. On the community calendar today, the Atlanta High School class of 1982 is planning its 10-year reunion. Which high school in Atlanta Call Dexter Montgomery, and he'll clarify that for you at 233-9055.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. To be an adult literacy volunteer and to be an Eckerd pharmacist requires two very special skills. To be both requires one very special person. Eckerd pharmacist Jill Gilbert.
With all these umpteen-hundred different remedies, you can spend half an hour deciding what's right for the sniffles.
So, what can I do for you today?
At Eckerd, your pharmacist always provides help with non-prescription medicines.
Most places, my cold would be over before I figured out what to take for it.
A lot of pet foods promise good health, but just one is recommended by veterinarians for good health above all the rest. Hill's Science Diet. Science Diet is recommended by veterinarians 3-to-1 over any other brand. Science Diet, because the first choice of veterinarians should be your choice, too.
Now, with a purchase of 20 pounds or more, a limited edition Science Diet grooming towel is yours free. Supplies are limited. Get your free Science Diet towel today.
You better run for prices that make your shopping more fun.
Spring's here and time for fun with the special purchase of very famous name spring dresses for just $29.99. Sensational styles, fabulous colors, and a wonderful price. Better hurry.
Prices that mean you can afford to relax. Shopping's more fun at TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx.
This is one of the greatest shapes you'll ever see in the 90s. Ready? $99.99. That's the price of this fully equipped 92 Ford Escort 3-door, 4-door, 5-door, or wagon. How fully equipped? How about air conditioning, stereo cassette, power steering, power mirrors, and plenty more? So, get one of these great shapes of the 90s, Ford Escort, for one of these great shapes in the 90s. $99.99. But this is a limited time offer, so hurry.
Coming up on 6/18, the cherry blossoms are blooming in the shadow of the Washington Monument. Yesterday marked the kickoff of the annual Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C. The festival celebrates springtime in the nation's capital. Closer to home, a fleet of hot air balloons was launched yesterday in Piedmont Park. It was all part of the Atlanta Dogwood Festival. High winds canceled Saturday's flight and delayed yesterday's by an hour. The festival continues until next Sunday. Very pretty.
Very pretty. Boy, it was windy
Saturday
on
was one of the windiest days I've seen around here.
Did you try to play golf?
Yes, we were playing, and it was unbelievable what the wind was doing.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, and it still got up to 72 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And of course, the wind really doesn't have that much to do with temperature, but it just makes it feel cooler, and I was kind of surprised at the high. We were looking for warmer temperatures, but that was a breezy 72. Boy. And I'm not trying to be facetious about this Atlanta High School reunion. There is no Atlanta High School in Atlanta, so I hope that those of you that are interested think you've got a 10-year reunion coming up. You might want to call that number and check. In the meantime, let's start off with kids' picks for this Monday morning. It's from Coal Mountain Elementary, Amanda Cooper. These are youngsters, and I emphasize the word young. Good pictures. Julia Papanikolaos. Papanikolaos? Yeah. Papanikolaos. Julia, you know who you are. It's a beautiful picture. I like that. And still cool enough up there to probably have a little bit of smoke coming out of the smokestack in your house. That's neat. Thank you. Little folks, 6- and 7-year-olds. I like that. All right. Out at Hartsfield, a different picture. Clear, dry right now, but what you don't see is cloudy. 48 is the temperature, humidity 48%, pressure rising 30.20 inches for the barometric pressure. Northeasterly wind, hardly noticeable, 3 miles an hour. No rain in the past 24 hours. And unofficially, our low thus far is 48. It's 30 degrees up at Asheville, North Carolina. A little chilly up there. Raleigh, Durham, 32. Look at that. Still some lingering wintertime temps or late wintertime temps, but there's also a very noticeable buildup of a low-pressure center. East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. Heavy thunderstorm action in this area right now along the coast of Texas and New Orleans. Showers back and behind that, and a few showers up here in the coming out of the Central Rockies into the Northern Plains states. Kind of cool. Look at Pittsburgh, 29, but St. Louis is 47, just 1 degree cooler than we are. fairly nice, 34 up at Bangor, Maine. Not too bad, all things considered. Things beginning to take on a little bit more of the aura of springtime in the south, and that, of course, means that we're going to have some showers, and they're going to stem from this system right here. They'll probably come into the Atlanta area later today, probably late this afternoon and tonight, and certainly be with us tomorrow. So here's the outlook as we see it now. Increasingly cloudy during the day and warm, a high of 68 or 70, down to 51, and rainy in the morning. Showers and possible thunder showers. Oh, yeah. Particularly tomorrow. They could start during the nighttime hours tonight, but they'll be rather fast-moving, getting out of here late tomorrow afternoon, then clearing Wednesday and Thursday. Look at that, 74 on Thursday. I can hardly wait.
Glad to see those springtime temperatures coming.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
In celebrity news, Dolly Parton says her past life came back when she was filming her new movie, Straight Talk. Parton plays a dancer-turned-talk show host and says there were times when it was just like deja vu. Parton says she was reminded of when she was walking down the streets of Nashville in 1964 and barely had enough money to get by. The country singer says she beat out a lot of actresses for this part, including Julia Roberts, Bette Midler, and Goldie Hawn. Another animated tale is coming our way soon. Fern Gully is a film that's being called a treat for kids and adults. It has an environmental message, and nature is turned into a wonderland inhabited by fairies who think humans are creatures out of storybooks.
Don't you think you're a little old to believe in human tales?
Human tails? Humans don't have tails. They have big, big bottoms that they wear with bad shorts. They walk around going, "Hi, Helen!"
But humans do come into this paradise, threatening its existence until one of them gets brought down to fairy size. Fern Gully opens at theaters around the country this Friday.
Today, you can begin casting your ballot for your choice in a stamp that will remember the king. It's the great Elvis stamp election. A new stamp will pay homage to the king of rock and roll, but the question is, should the king be pictured young and thin or old and fat? You be the judge. Simply pick up a ballot at the post office and mail it back by April 24th. You can vote as often as you like. The result will be known on June 4th.
I think I can go ahead and make a prediction on that.
Oh, can you?
I think it's going to be the young
The
Elvis.
young one?
The young and thin instead of the old and fat, as you put it, I think.
Okay. We shall see on,
see.
June 4th? Right.
Yes.
That's it.
All
Okay.
right.
Spring training is over. Baseball season officially gets underway today.
See how the Braves finished out their spring training games in Little Rock. Simeon Smith is up next with sports.
Great pitch out of it.
Every year, termites cause more damage than any disaster, and you don't even see them. Make sure your home is termite-free. Call AccuPest, 483-2420 now for your free inspection, 483-2420.
The world-famous Royal Lipizzan Stallion Show comes to the Omni Sunday, April 12th at 2 p.m. Tickets now at Ticketmaster or charged by phone.
A few years ago, if Mrs. Merriweather had chosen conventional surgery, little Jeremy might never have been born. Because conventional surgery could have left Mrs. Merriweather unable to have children. But thank goodness her doctor chose laser surgery at Gwinnett Hospital System. And that meant lots of advantages for Mrs. Merriweather. Her laser surgery was a much simpler procedure, so she spent just a fraction of the time in the hospital and was back on her feet fast. But most important, thanks to laser surgery at Gwinnett Hospital System, Mrs. Merriweather is now able to fully experience the joys of motherhood. For a free booklet on all the advantages of laser surgery, simply call Gwinnett Hospital System, 995-4444. Gwinnett Hospital System, dedicated to your good health.
People helping people. Dedicated volunteers strive to make a difference for others. They share their time. They share their love. 11 Alive is proud to salute the spirit of volunteerism. Outstanding volunteers will be honored at the 17th Annual Community Service Awards, Tuesday, April 14th at 9.
6:25 now, sports time. In Sunday basketball action, the New Jersey Nets upset the Indiana Pacers 98-90 to move ahead of Atlanta and into 7th place in the Eastern playoff race. Meanwhile, Larry Brown's L.A. Clippers are fighting for the final playoff slot in the West. Against the Bucks in Milwaukee yesterday, Danny Young helped L.A. with a third-quarter buzzer beater. Milwaukee trailed by a point in the waning seconds and wasn't able to get off a good shot. The Clippers win 97-96. And now here's Simeon Smith with the rest of the morning sports.
Well, good morning. Spring training is finally over, and we'll soon know whether an exhibition record is indicative of how a team will begin the season. Let's hope it's meaningless. Braves lost on Sunday for the 19th time in 29 spring outings. The Bravos got off to a good start against the Cardinals on Sunday. Terry Pendleton belted a first-inning homer, and later he cracked another solo number, his first 2 homers of the spring. Only 5 Brave hits today, however. Charlie Leibrandt threw 3 very effective innings, and he got some nice help. Dion will make a shoestringer out in center field. But there was also some sloppy play today. Ron Gant will try and field a drive off of Todd Zeal's bat. He should have made the grab, but it gets away from him. St. Louis, however, returned the favor. Nobody playing real great on Sunday when Gant's liner boings right out of Pedro Guerrero's mitt. In fact, the game ends on an error. Jeff Blauser was going for a bases-loaded force-out at home when he threw wildly, and the Cardinals had themselves a 6-5 come-from-behind win. Atlanta finishes the spring with a 10-19 record. Only Philadelphia's 9 wins were fewer. College baseball on Sunday, Georgia Tech broke its 6-game ACC losing streak. Jason Veritek slammed a double and a homer to help the Jackets stomp FSU 10-3. Meanwhile, the Dogs shut out Alabama yesterday 4-0. The Dogs and Jackets will meet at Tech on Wednesday. Well, Georgia golfer Chip Beck is sponsored by Walmart, and so the death on Sunday of Sam Walton was emotional for one for Beck. But at Louisiana's Freeport McMorran tournament, Beck kept his emotions under control and his putter hot. At one time on Sunday, he was able to seize a 3-stroke lead. But these great PGA players can get well in a hurry. Third-round leader Jeff Maggart almost jumps back into things in a big way. His 150-yard 9-iron almost goes in for an eagle. Maggart would finish 3 off the pace at 9 under. Greg Norman rallied on the backside and came to 18, needing a birdie to tie Beck. If this sand shot had fallen, the Shark could have forced a playoff. He finished at 11 under. Rookie Mike Stanley was also at 11 under, but he needed this par putt to drop if he was going to stay at -11 and have a chance for a playoff, and he does. So Beck came to 18, needing only a par 4 to win. Problem was his second shot was in the sand, and his great blast still leaves him about 6 feet away. But with $180,000 and the death of a friend in the back of his mind, the former Bulldog wraps it right in the heart of the Cup to win his first PGA event of the season. It's the NASCAR circuit now, and Bill Elliott's 4-race win streak was on the line Sunday in Bristol, Tennessee. At the Food City 500, action from the get-go as Sterling Marlin blows a tire, hits the wall, and is then creamed by Richard Petty. All this on lap 13. Tires, story of the day, Elliott changed his as early as lap 16. He complained his chassis was loose. He spun out twice. He gets one right here. He was just happy to finish this race in 20th position, I think. Dale Earnhardt was running a strong second when he blew a right front tire and slammed into the wall. Earnhardt had actually led his first lap of the year in this race. Meanwhile, pole sitter Alan Kowicki was able to avoid all the trouble, and he takes the checkered flag 78/100ths of a second ahead of Dale Jarrett. It was the 10th straight race. The Ford has won, although Jarrett and Ken Schrader finished second and third in Chevys. Terry Labonte made a nice run in Olds. Dick Trickle came from way back to finish 5th. Earnhardt settles for 18th, Elliott for 20th, and points leader Davey Allison was a distant 28th. Well, the best college basketball players in America are Duke's Christian Leitner and Virginia's Dawn Staley. That according to the Naismith Award Committee, which honored Leitner and Staley on Sunday. Meanwhile, Stanford is the champion of women's basketball. The Cardinal blew out Western Kentucky today. The Toppers coach complained later his team was just too tired from yesterday's game to play well today, rather on Sunday. Stanford had no trouble, though. They were very hot. Their women were just fantastic. The Cardinals coast to a 16-point, 78-62 win over the Lady Toppers of Western Kentucky. And that's morning sports for a Monday.
Coming up in the second half hour of 11 Alive News today, the case of one of the youngest people ever to stand trial for murder could go to the jury today.
And the spread of tuberculosis continues in Metro Atlanta. Stay with us.
You're watching 11 Alive News today with Chuck Moore and Jill Becker.
Mornings on AM 750 WSB Radio are really different. The biggest news team means the best coverage. Weather from our own meteorologist and traffic reports every 6 minutes. Atlanta's morning news, weather, and traffic station. AM 750 WSB. Depend on it.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Fiesta Bob. These crisscross chili cheese fries are so fantastico. I had to write a song about them. They're hot waffle-cut fries covered with great-tasting chili, then they're topped off with Wisconsin cheddar. So head to Crystal for some crisscross chili cheese fries. Time for a few more hot licks.
Mazovsha, Mazovsha.
The New York Times calls their dancing a joyous occasion.
Mazovsha, Mazovsha.
A riot of color wrapped around a strong, well-disciplined company.
Mazovsha.
One of the best dance troupes around, a kaleidoscope of color, movement, and sound.
Mazovsha.
No matter how you say it, you just have to see the magnificent Mazovsha.
Tickets are on sale now for Magnificent Mazovsha at the fabulous Fox April 7th. Call 249-6400 to charge by phone. She's the granddaughter of Mussolini.
He was a great man, honest, and a good man.
Now it can be told. Alessandra Mussolini is proud of her heritage and thinks Italy is too.
They love the idea and what Mussolini did for Italy.
And she wants to follow in his footsteps. Now it can be told. Today at 5, followed by 11 Alive News at 5:30 with Terry Merriman and Carl Brown.
Only AM 750 WSB Radio has Skycopter and Skyplane traffic. Hear updates every 6 minutes on Atlanta's morning news and afternoons too. AM 750 WSB, Atlanta's news, weather, and traffic station. Depend on it.
48 degrees at 6:32, and this is our top story this morning. The murder trial of 14-year-old Jamal Henry could go to the jury today. He's accused of killing a 7-year-old girl. Welcome back to 11 Alive News Today. I'm Jill Becker.
And I'm Chuck Moore. And Bill has joined us now with a preview of today's Money Matters report. Bill?
Well, good morning, folks. And this morning, Pepsi makes another dent in the Atlanta market. Small companies get their shot at stardom, and education gets a knockout punch from a world champion. Kai?
And when I came in this morning, Bill, there was still one submarine sandwich still left from Friday. No, there wasn't. I promise you. No.
I hope you didn't need it. Wait till you see the new supply.
I'm just waiting for you to work out a deal with some car dealers, buddy. That's. We got some clouds coming in. Already got a few little light showers around parts of Atlanta. Nothing major. The heavy stuff comes in later today, but it's going to be one of those build up to some pretty wet weather, which we need. High today, 68 or 70, down to 51 under rainy skies in the morning. And we'll tell you the rest of the story shortly.
All right. We'll check with you then.
All right.
Thank you. Final arguments are expected today in the trial of 14-year-old Jamal Henry.
Yesterday, a jury in DeKalb County spent the day dealing with this very sad case. The victim a child, her accused killer also a child. The accused was 13 at the time of the crime. Police found 7-year-old Sharita Kinlaw in an abandoned apartment last May. She had been hit with a belt, raped, and hanged. Her playmate, Jamal Henry, confessed to the crime, but as Marie Ryan reports, the teenager tried to convince the jury the confession wasn't for real.
The defense painted Jamal Henry as a slow child mentally, easily manipulated by police into making a confession. When the 14-year-old took the stand, he helped that image along, often saying he didn't understand, couldn't remember even the simplest of details about the night of the murder. At one point, jurors were reminded of his tender age when they saw tears on his face.
Are you confused right now, Jamal?
I can't think right now.
Jamal Henry did have the presence of mind, however, to write this community group and tell them he'd been coerced by police into confessing. They're now monitoring his trial. So is Jamal's biological mother, who lives in New York. More than a year ago, she turned her son over to a friend who was headed south.
I don't feel no guilt, no nothing.
I didn't do.
Back inside this courtroom, a DeKalb County jury must decide guilt in a unique trial. Jamal Henry is one of the youngest people to ever stand trial for murder. The prosecution keeps reminding those jurors that the murder victim was also a child, an innocent 7-year-old girl, raped and hanged. In DeKalb County, Marie Ryan, 11 Alive News.
Jamal was playing with Sharita Kinlaw just before she came up missing. However, the teenager's confession is clearly the cornerstone of the prosecution's case. Police say in it, Jamal told them details of the murder scene that only the murderer would know. If the case goes to the jury today, 11 Alive will bring you the verdict as soon as it's handed down. It's an all-too-familiar story. 2 children with a gun, and one of them ends up in the hospital. An 11-year-old boy was shot in the stomach at this Northwest apartment complex last night in Atlanta. He is reported to be in stable condition at Grady Hospital. The other person involved is a young teenager. Juvenile officers will be investigating, so police have not released many details of the shooting or the names of the youngsters involved.
It's a story many of us have heard before. Broken roads and broken promises. Millions and millions of dollars of your money has been spent on projects.
48 degrees at 6:32, and this is our top story this morning. The murder trial of 14-year-old Jamal Henry could go to the jury today. He's accused of killing a 7-year-old girl. Welcome back to 11 Alive News Today. I'm Jill Becker.
And I'm Chuck Moore. And Bill has joined us now with a preview of today's Money Matters report. Bill?
Well, good morning, folks. And this morning, Pepsi makes another dent in the Atlanta market. Small companies get their shot at stardom, and education gets a knockout punch from a world champion. Ty?
And when I came in this morning, Bill, there was still one submarine sandwich still left from Friday. No, there wasn't. I promise you. No.
I hope you didn't need it. Wait till you see the new supply.
I'm just waiting for you to work out a deal with some car dealers, buddy. That's. We got some clouds coming in. Already got a few little light showers. There's some pretty wet weather, which we need. Of the story shortly.
All right. We'll check with you then.
All right.
Thank you.
In-law in an abandoned apartment last May. She had been hit with a belt, raped, and hanged. Her playmate, Jamal Henry, confessed to the crime, but as Marie Ryan reports, the teenager tried to convince the jury the confession wasn't for real.
The defense painted Jamal Henry as a slow child mentally, easily manipulated by police into making a confession. When the 14-year-old took the stand, he helped that image along, often saying he didn't understand, couldn't remember even the simplest of details about the night of the murder. At one point, jurors were reminded of his tender age when they saw tears on his face.
Are you confused right now, Jamal? I can't think right now.
Jamal Henry did have the presence of mind, however, to write this community group and tell them he'd been coerced by police into confessing. They're now monitoring his trial. So is Jamal's biological mother, who lives in New York. More than a year ago, she turned her son over to a friend who was headed south.
I don't feel no guilt, no nothing. I didn't do.
Back inside this courtroom, a DeKalb County jury must decide guilt in a unique trial. Jamal Henry is one of the youngest people to ever stand trial for murder. The prosecution keeps reminding those jurors that the murder victim was also a child, an innocent 7-year-old girl, raped and hanged. In DeKalb County, Marie Ryan, 11 Alive News.
Jamal was playing with Charita Kinlaw just before she came up missing. However, the teenager's confession is clearly the cornerstone of the prosecution's case. Police say in it, Jamal told them details of the murder scene that only the murderer would know. If the case goes to the jury today, 11 Alive will bring you the verdict as soon as it's handed down. It's an all-too-familiar story. 2 children with a gun, and one of them ends up in the hospital. An 11-year-old boy was shot in the stomach at this Northwest apartment complex last night in Atlanta. He is reported to be in stable condition at Grady Hospital. The other person involved is a young teenager. Juvenile officers will be investigating, so police have not released many details of the shooting or the names of the youngsters involved.
It's a story many of us have heard before. Broken roads and broken promises. Millions and millions of dollars of your money has been spent on projects like the Ronald Reagan Parkway. 6 years ago, Gwinnett County supposedly embarked on one of the largest highway projects in state history, and the people agreed to pay for it. They say they have not received their money's worth. If you pick up a copy of this morning's edition of the Daily News, you will read about a project out of control. The paper reports a third of the work that was promised to be done more than 2 years ago is not done yet. A grand jury has indicated there's a possibility of fraud involved. When paramedics first arrived at this wreck in Gwinnett County last night, they thought at least 2 people must be dead. As it turned out, everyone survived, but 3 people were hurt, 2 of them seriously. Police think the Honda was trying to enter I-85 and pulled in front of the Bronco on Beaver Ruin Road.
We were first to report on the latest outbreak of tuberculosis. There are some new details this morning. The latest TB scare is here at the Atlanta Pretrial Detention Center. A guard developed the disease. He is back at work, but he's very upset because he's not getting workman's comp. Officials say he can't prove he came down with TB at the center. Doctors tell us this morning we can expect to see more tuberculosis in jails, hospitals, anywhere people are crammed together and germs can spread. Hospital officials still can't tell us how many employees and patients are infected with TB at Grady Hospital. Administrators told us they would release the latest figures as soon as they can get an accurate count. We've learned that nurses are roaming the halls with a special cart, giving TB tests to anyone who might have come in contact with the disease.
A couple of other points to stress this morning. If you've tested positive for TB, it simply means you've been exposed to the disease. It doesn't mean that you have TB. Doctors say the new drug-resistant strain of TB isn't nearly as common as the ordinary kind, so there's no need to panic. Statewide, though, there have been more than 940 cases so far this year. A new drug may be tested here in Georgia to help people who suffer from social phobia, a fear of being around other people. The Medical College of Georgia is evaluating the drug called ondansetron. It blocks a chemical messenger in the brain called serotonin. That messenger is believed to cause people to fear contact with others. The Medical College of Georgia is evaluating the drug and may become one of only 10 places in the country to test it.
The Dogwood Festival kicked off this weekend, but it also kicked off controversy over whether the huge celebration is putting Piedmont Park in danger. Members of the Piedmont Park Conservancy are boycotting the festival out of concern over the wear and tear on the park. The Conservancy wants to limit the number of festivals at the park and is negotiating with the city over renovations.
For those of you who are keeping tabs on the little tiger cub born out of the Atlanta Zoo, here's an update. The tiger's doing better every day. You may recall just last week the cub developed kidney problems after its mother let it wander out in the cold weather. The zoo's vet is using cotton balls to rub the cub to simulate its mother's licking and feeding it baby's formula milk.
One good thing about this, the fact that it's been taken away from the mother, is Jeff, the zoo guy who's on Noonday every Friday, says now they can bring the tiger cub to Noonday because it'll be raised by humans, so it'll be, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
To see the tiger cub.
Certainly will. Still ahead on 11 Alive News today, you soon won't be able to buy a coat at any area Del Taco.
And it was a real spam-a-rama in Dallas over the weekend, Guy.
All I want them to do is bring that cub before it gets to 500 pounds. Yes. We've got some wet weather in store for us for about 24 to 36 hours, and then, well, I'll tell you the then in a few minutes.
This suit at the Men's Warehouse is $200. This double-breasted, also $200. And tailored, $200. These quality suits are all $200 at the Men's Warehouse. Elsewhere, they'd be closer to $300. This classic tuxedo, $200. We've got a great selection of quality suits for $200. We guarantee it.
9 stores, including North Lake Mall, Stone Mountain, South Lake Festival, and Sandy Springs at Roswell Road in Abernathy.
People ask us, how come most food that's healthy and good for you has to taste boring? Know what our answer is? New Chick-fil-A Grilled in Lights. The most tender portion of the lean chicken breast, marinated, grilled, and served on a skewer. There's less than 1 gram of fat and less than 50 calories per skewer. And the taste? Not boring. New Chick-fil-A Grilled in Lights. How did we do it?
We're not telling.
For 300 years, these men and these horses trained for war. Now, they do ballet. Kind of gives you hope for the world, doesn't it?
Sunday, April 12th, 2 p.m. at the Omni. Seats at Ticketmaster or charge by phone. 11 Alive and FM 95 WPCH invite you to Cumberland Mall, April 11th, for the Walt Disney World 20th birthday surprise celebration. At noon, meet your favorite Disney characters, then stay for the exciting surprise party at 3 o'clock. You can even win a Premier cruise and Disney vacation aboard Premier's Big Red Boat. Winners fly Delta Airlines, the official airline of Walt Disney World. Register at Cumberland Mall. Then watch Hello, Georgia right here on 11 Alive to see if you won. Don't miss the party.
It is, 19 and a half, 18 and a half minutes before.
You're asking the wrong person at 6:41.
Digital clocks are hard to assimilate sometimes. It's 6:41:30. How's that?
That'll give us something to think
That's
about.
the way to do it. Yeah. Pretty nice out there.
Yes, it is. Not too bad. Cloudy. Got a few little drizzles beginning to show up. It's going to be a wet period for about 24 to 36 hours. If you've got some gardening done this weekend, if you could withstand the winds on Saturday, you'll have some water to nourish them. We have some kids' picks to nourish us now. 6- and 7-year-old youngsters. Billy Head. Very nice picture. A little faintly drawn, but I got the message, Billy. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Amber Gilbert. There you go. There you go. We'll see that kind of a sun probably sometime tomorrow, Amber. I like that. Those are nice for 6 and 7-year-olds. Very, very good. Readiness class at Coal Mountain Elementary. All right. I don't know whether that camera's ready or not, but it's sure shooting clear. All right. The temperature right now, 48 degrees, humidity 48%, barometric pressure rising, 30.20 inches. I'm quite sure that's going to start falling most any moment now as we have a front coming in. Northeast wind 3 miles an hour, no rain as yet. And unofficially, our low thus far was 48. It's kind of cool in parts of the eastern part of the southeast. Asheville 30, 32 at Raleigh-Durham, 34 at Columbia, South Carolina, 33 at Augusta. Look at there. But you can see the warmer temperatures back to the west, and that's also where there's quite a little disturbance kicking up some fuss back there in Louisiana, extreme eastern Texas, parts of Arkansas, moving into Mississippi now, and Alabama. Well, all of this system is gradually heading toward us. Boy, Longview's about to get clobbered, and Big D is getting pretty wet right now. Well, this whole system will eventually wend its way into that's WEND, for those of you that like to critique me on saying I'm using the wrong word. It's not the wrong word. Look it up. 47 at St. Louis, 56 at Memphis, 46 down at Jayville, Jacksonville. Somewhat cool temperatures in parts of the east, but not too bad. Going to warm up as that system to the west of us begins to get stronger and move into our area, pushing that high further on out into the Atlantic. So just be prepared for about 24 to 36 hours of wetness and cloudiness, but comfortable temperatures. Here's the forecast as we see it now. Increasingly cloudy with showers very likely, intensifying late this afternoon, tonight, and part of tomorrow. High today, 68 or 70, down to 51 in the morning. And then a wee mite cooler Tuesday as that front clears, 63 the high. Rain should end and start clearing out Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday, and Thursday, look at that. More sun, the influence evident by the temperatures, getting up towards the mid-70s by Thursday, and lows in the low 50s again. Kind of like that forecast.
I do, too. And I'm sorry, but I missed that word you told us to look up.
Wending, W-E-N-D, it's motion. Wending its way into an area.
Okay.
Wind. It is a correct word, and I've been cited by several different people in letters, and nothing major, just nice little letters.
As opposed to winding its way.
Yes.
I thought it was winding, too.
Yeah, but it's wending.
I've written several letters to you.
I noticed that, yes. They always come in with Ann E. Moss.
Mm-hmm. Just ahead in Money Matters, good news for American automakers.
And Atlanta's champ is honored for his contribution to education.
If you're a Pactel Cellular customer, you can be an 11 Alive mobile news watcher. When you see news happening, just dial star 11. It's free. Your call will directly connect you with the 11 Alive newsroom.
I know I shouldn't be calling you, Mr. Davis. You haven't seen him since lunch?
Step out of the car, please, sir.
I know this isn't the first time. Mr. Davis, please. He needs this job.
If someone you love has a drinking problem, it doesn't have to end this way. We hope you'll never need charter, but if you do, we'll be here. If you don't get help at charter, please get help somewhere.
I just can't keep a lid on it. It's easy to eat smart with portable Light and Lively snack-sized cottage cheese. It goes great with my favorite greens, or when I'm on a roll. And at tea time, I like the fruit flavors. It's so creamy and delicious, it even goes great by itself.
Enjoy the good protein snack, Light and Lively cottage cheese. Eat smart and look it.
Surrender to the music of the night.
The power of the music of the night.
The music of Andrew Lloyd Webber. A spectacular theatrical concert. From Evita, Cats, Jesus Christ Superstar, Phantom of the Opera. The music of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Tickets at Ticketmaster outlets. To charge, call 249-6400. That's 249-6400.
To get tough stains like these out of your carpet, you need a professional strength stain remover.
Stanley Steamer, our deep cleaning system, removes down to the roots dirt your vacuum can't reach. We can pick up just about whatever falls down. Stanley Steamer, the #1 way to clean carpets.
Serving 23 counties in the metropolitan Atlanta area.
48 degrees at 6:47. These are our top stories this morning. The fate of 14-year-old Jamal Henry could be in the hands of a jury by the end of the day. He's accused of raping and murdering a 7-year-old girl. Jamal says police threatened to put him in jail with adult criminals if he didn't confess to the crime. Police deny the charges. Kids and guns, we've all heard the story before. Case in point, at this apartment complex last night, an 11-year-old was shot in the stomach. He's in stable condition at Grady Hospital. Police say his playmate apparently shot him accidentally. And some Gwinnett County people may feel they're getting ripped off after hearing this story. This morning's edition of the Daily News reports millions of dollars of your money being spent on highway projects may be taking a detour, meaning you're not getting your money's worth. The paper reports more than a third of the work that was promised to be done more than 2 years ago is not done yet. In business news, the New York stock market finished the week on an up note. The Dow Jones Industrials rose 15 points, closing at 3249.11. The price of gold opened in London today at $340.50 an ounce. That's a loss of 40 cents from Friday's close.
Bill List joins us now with today's Money Matters report, and finally some good news for a U.S. automaker.
You know, good news comes in measured quantities. This is a little, but still it's very, very good. And especially here locally in the Southeast, which we'll tell everyone about this morning. We do have some encouraging news this morning in car and truck sales. One major domestic automaker. Equally good news for another in the 7-state southeastern region. Chrysler this morning says auto sales for late March are estimated at a whopping 43% over last year, with truck sales up as well. And over at Ford, although national increases are about 1.6%, the company says its southeast region showed sales increases of about 15% for the first 3 months this year. And for the first time in a long time, folks, all 3 Japanese automakers are reporting sales have been down for late March. And that is the first time in a long time, Jill, that all 3 of them have taken a nosedive.
I wonder if Buy American is catching on.
Well, it might be a little bit, I think, too, you know, with the devaluation and differences in the dollar and everything else. And the Japanese did say they were going to raise prices a little. But what's happening is a lot of the fleet sale operators, sales are starting to slow down, which means people are now going out and buying those cars. And also truck sales are way up, which means that small businesses are now starting, probably for the first time in a long time, to buy the small pickups and the trucks out there. Right. So things are looking good. And the Buy American thing, you could be 100% correct. Absolutely right.
Well, it's not often that Coca-Cola loses out on anything.
Boy, I'll tell you, but this morning, a new phrase soon with some favorite Mexican food. This one could be, we don't sell Coca-Cola. Well, it's Del Taco chain of Mexican fast food restaurants. They're being sold to PepsiCo, and PepsiCo is Pepsi's parent company and the owner of Taco Bell's. About 100 Del Tacos and Taco Villas will be switched over. Most are located right here in Georgia. Some are down in Texas. And for one thing for sure, they won't sell Coke. The chain had been owned by the W.R. Grace Company. They've decided simply to bail out of the food business altogether. And one of the Southeast's biggest investment conferences is getting underway today in Atlanta. More than 325 investment managers are expected to attend from all around the world. They'll hear from 83 companies and why they should encourage their investors back home to buy in. The conference is hosted by the Atlanta-based investment firm of Robinson Humphrey. And this morning, if you're an uninsured Georgian, and there are more than 1.3 million of you out there, you'll have a chance tomorrow to let the state know about your health care needs. State Insurance Commissioner Tim Riles holds a public hearing tomorrow to get input from those who need coverage. It's part of the research necessary to complete what is now the 11th draft of the state's basic health plan. That's due to be out on July 1st. Well, the idea is to cover 31 days of a hospital stay, plus basic surgery and preventive medical services. Now, state insurance spokesmen say illnesses, and this is bad news, like cancer and AIDS will simply not be covered by the new coverage, but for everything else, the idea is going to be to get a private insurance company to market the plan, help pay for it without any tax money involved whatsoever. And finally, this morning, we do have this footnote. The folks at Atlanta's Old National Christian Academy have 2 young students in their school whose father believes that a mind is a terrible thing to waste and whose values go far beyond the ring. He's the world heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield, and because of his belief in education and its values to help the young, Holyfield was honored last Friday night. Listen to this. He donated $350,000 to the Old National Christian Academy School officials tell us the money is certainly enough to buy all the land necessary for them to build the new facility in Southwest Atlanta. Well, I think that's really quite something. Handed over a personal check, handwritten, enough to buy the land, and that school's going to be a reality. So
Nice
quite an
guy.
exciting thing.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Bill. We'll see you again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Chuck?
Hal Suits here with his morning commentary, and he says some who are supposedly serving the public are also serving themselves. Good morning, Hal.
Morning. How are you, Chuck? From one day to the next, we are never sure where the next shoe of public morality or the lack of it is going to drop. In our own backyard, city, state, and federal agencies are currently probing into business relationships between elected and or appointed officials and vendors at the Atlanta airport. They have also been putting in time checking on whether state legislators may have used their positions to improperly help outsiders in everything from international banking to nude dancing. And even the Atlanta Committee on the Olympics has changed some of its rules about kinfolks of elected officials being on its payroll and or whether individuals in public office can contract for work relating to the 96 games. Now, these situations are disturbing, but we see them as political. However, we do not expect such from nonprofit organizations, so we are taken aback over allegations that contributions to United Way have afforded rather high living for William Harmony, the ousted president of the charitable organization. In addition to a salary of close to $500,000, he went through some $100,000 in limousines, air travel, and entertainment. There is concern because many willing givers truly sacrifice in their regular payroll deductions for United Way. And now local organizations, rightly so, are detailing how they spend their money. For many years, I've been involved in small ways in helping United Way fund drives, and I'll be at it again this fall. I've also shared the responsibility of operating some of the community agencies which get help from that organization. And the groups I've worked with have been required to carefully account for their dimes and dollars and are regularly audited. Metro Atlanta's United Way, to the best of my knowledge, has earned straight A's in its financial responsibilities. And that's my journal for this morning.
All right. Thanks, Hal.
When we come back, a wrap-up of the weather and the Spamorama. Stay with us.
This is 11 Live News today at 5.5 minutes before 7. It is now 48 degrees under a cloudy sky. Quite a few birthdays today as normal on Monday. Melissa Ann McDowell, Rick Allen, Christina Hansen, Boyce Thornton, Kelly Crabe, David Rock, Alba Spence, Jessica Stanage, Willie Fred Character, Annie Ruth Evans, Robert Dennis, Kimberly Johnson, Penny and Peggy Redfern, David Washington, Minnie Hall, Mary Kemp, Pate Votaw, John Thacker, Jeremy Lester, Carrie Johnson, Alexandria Brown, Kimberly Shepard, Anthony Maddox, Maxine Davis, Friday Uda, Nikki Caruso, James Lynch, Perky Pretty Ashley Franklin, 16 years, wow, Terry Brianne Duncan, and Rudolph Aki, 84 years young. Happy birthday, all you folks. Keith Callan's on vacation. Bill Somerville tells us that as of this moment, there's no major traffic problems to report, but we'll have an update at 7:25.
Okay, girls, shrimp's out of the oven. Go call Dad while I go get the roll.
Only one frozen shrimp really tastes like fresh shrimp. Sea-Pack Oven Crunchy Shrimp. Great tasting shrimp you bake in just 10 minutes. Sea-Pack.
There are lots of ways to pick a dentist. Ask a friend, look in the phone book, but what does that really tell you about them? At 1-800-DENTIST, we refer from a select group of dentists, and we have a full profile on each of them. Their education, how many years in practice, what special training they have. And with our dentists, you have the security of knowing that we refer thousands of patients to them every month. So if you need a dentist and you want to make an educated choice, call 1-800-DENTIST today.
Another Home Depot certified advantage. Free design service. Come to Home Depot for professional decorating advice, from coordinating colors to selecting products. And you'll always find the best brands, like Glidden Evermore Paint. We have color after color of Glidden interior and exterior paint. We'll even mix hundreds of custom colors for you absolutely free.
Home Depot, Home Depot. Low prices are just the beginning.
Coming up on 2 minutes before 7 o'clock, baseball season is upon us. The Braves kick off their season tomorrow in Houston.
Their team is hoping to leave their spring training blues behind them.
Change the thing. The clubhouse is still terrible. I can't wait for this game to get over so we can get to Houston and have a regular clubhouse again.
Unlike Olson, a lot of people here wanted to savor the day. In fact, it was tough, to make it impossible to convince people before spring means anything.
It's understandable why you're here in this part of the country. You're a Cardinal fan, right? Exactly. I've got a Braves fan over here in Marty. What I got to tell you, though, is these guys have had a terrible spring. Doesn't that worry you?
It doesn't matter. That's how they were last year. They had a bad spring.
No, it wasn't this bad.
Well, it was close, and then they come back and they go to the World Series. They're going to do it again, only this time they're going to win.
She has a lot of company, including Bobby Cox, although he certainly didn't go out on a limb quite as far.
Do you have concerns at all now or not?
Well, just with the injuries, the record, we can live with it. We wanted to win as many as we could. We just didn't. And the important thing was getting healthy, and we're about there, I think. And I was impressed with some of the hitters today. Some of the guys had much better swing, so even though we lost, I could at least smile a little bit.
After the unhappy ending, a quick exit, or as quick as possible, considering David Justice and some others had to do the old autograph through the bus window trick, even here in what is traditionally St. Louis Cardinal country.
Well, there you have it. Baseball weather.